Greetings, salutations. Welcome to this Prophetic Insights, where we analyze current events as they are fulfilling Bible prophecies. Safe to Serve International, first-time viewers, I greet you in the name of Jesus Christ. Welcome one, welcome all to this Prophetic Insights. Friends, on Monday, June 7th, 2021, I covered the following topic: two-tiered society by 2022. And as you can see at the bottom, this video was actually posted here on our YouTube channel. It states Pestilence 19 firmly establishes Popery's two-tiered society. Universal healthcare by 2022. Universal Sunday law is next. A just freedom for the unjabbed. And friends, we are going to see another clear connection and application today that this crisis is not only prevalent in society, but it's also prevalent. There's great traction. It's trending within the Seventh-day Adventist denomination, the SDA movement. We know that based on prophecy, and I covered this during that segment, that June 7th, Monday, midday power surge. We know that based on the scriptures and prophecy, Revelation 13, verse 15 through verse 17, the mark of the beast crisis is going to firmly establish a two-tiered society. Two tiers in aspect to religion and worship. Also, financially, two tiers. All right? Socially, two tiers. And we're seeing it in society, but not only in society, it's also prevalent within this movement. And before I cover that current event, I'm simply going to lay a foundation by reiterating a few pertinent points that were covered during that midday power surge. Look at the screen right here, friends. This is former Prime Minister Tony Blair. The headline reads, two-tiered society. Tony Blair calls for only inoculated people with Pestilence 19 inoculation to get more freedom. It's right there. That's it, my friends. The vaccinated and the non-vaccinated people should have different freedoms, he stated. And as we covered, I will state again, which entity based on prophecy, history, and current events is against our freedoms? It is Popery. It's right there on the screen. And former U.S. leaders have also excoriated Popery. It's right there on the screen, friends. All right, we covered that. You can pause the video and take a look at that. Let's come back to Mr. Tony Blair and notice his quick biography, his history, his resume. I want to focus on something though. He was present at the meeting, the Bilderberg meeting. And by the way, who was also present and has been present at these Bilderberg meetings calling for a one world government? The merchants, the masters of the universe, controlling the masses. My friends, it is Popery. It is Popery. Here you find a connection with Popery and Mr. Tony Blair. These are not my words. I'm simply stating the facts. Now, friends, why is that so? I had to unearth, and bring forth this statement. Look at the screen, my friends. Headline: Mr. Tony Blair converts to Catholicism in the year 2007. It makes sense why he would be writing for prominent Roman Catholic platforms, even the tablet that is promoting and pushing the teaching of the Second Vatican Council, which means to restore papal dominion. And who is he, friends? A convert to Roman Catholicism. Now it makes sense. Connect the dots in 2020. Connect the dots. Why was he there? Because, friends, he is a converted Roman Catholic. But my friends, what we're seeing on the screen was published in the year 2007. But however, I want to share with you that there are a plethora of articles which have stated that Tony Blair had been a closet Catholic for approximately 30 years. Look at that, my friends. There it is. In 2007, headline, The Guardian, after 30 years as a closet Catholic, Tony Blair finally puts faith before politics. Look at that, my friends. A closet Catholic, 30 years. And the question is, do we have any closet Catholic within the Seventh-day Adventist leadership and within the Seventh-day Adventist membership? Closet Catholics promoting, spearheading, uniting with Roman Catholicism to undo the principles of Protestantism. And Protestantism, the etymology, the history, the current application. My friends, we must be spiritually distanced from the papacy. It is a backsliding church that lessens the distance between itself and the papacy. And this connects with the present pandemic, that there must be social distancing, physical distancing, uniting with Satan's right-hand man. Look at that first. Not only a handshake, but also uniting with Popery in an ecumenical alliance. Mr. Diop, is he a closet Catholic? I'm simply asking a question. And based on his resume and based on his statements, speeches, sermons, soliloquies, based on his actions, that is a reasonable, fair question to ask. Look at the screen, my friends. Again, I ask, are there any closet Roman Catholics among the leadership of the Seventh-day Adventist denomination? Again, I ask, succinctly and profoundly, are there any, yes, closet Catholics among the Seventh-day Adventist pews? There it is, friends. Are there any? Question needs to be asked. Notice here, friends, I want everyone to focus now as I quickly segue into a few clips from Mr. Tony Blair about him promoting the two-tier society. One for those who have received the pestilence 19 nostrum, they can have freedoms, and another level, a lower, degraded level for those who have not received the pestilence 19 nostrum. Take a look at this, friends. Watch.
The trouble is, this does create, does it not, a two-tier society between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. Looking at your own paper says that if you haven't been vaccinated, you won't be able to go to nightclubs and theatres and big sporting events and many other places. So you will be discriminated against.
Yeah, but I think, you know, the word discrimination's got a very loaded meaning in the English language now. But really, when it comes to risk management, it's all about discrimination.
Two tiers will lead to discrimination. And again, while there are and maybe closet Catholics within the SDA leadership and pew, ministers and among members, while some are in the closet, which means secretly, all right, having these clandestine meetings with Popery and her allies, others are simply open Catholics by their sermons, by their books, and what they state in various articles on the platform within the movement of Seventh-day Adventists. Back to Tony Blair. Listen again, friends.
Bigger picture.
Do you think, again, it's in some respects an ethical or moral dilemma, do you think we should be vaccinating children to protect the entire society?
Yes, I think you'll definitely move in that direction in the end.
should we be inoculated children? With that in mind, I'm going to segue now into our current event, the second one addressing the flagship school of Seventh-day Adventists. Which is the flagship school among Seventh-day Adventism? It is Andrews University. And since the month of June that we are in right now, Andrews University has enacted its Pestilence 19, its Virus 19 policy. How are they going to combat the Pestilence 19? Simply by establishing and firmly establishing a two-tier society on the campus for staff and for students, for employees and for students. Friends, take a look at this. All right, friends, notice. This was sent out to the faculty, staff, and students of Andrews University. Need to know June 2021. By the way, it's called the Sunrise Edition. And here's what I want you to see, my friends. In the Mark of the Beast time period, there's going to be two tiers. Religiously, spiritually, two tiers. Financially, you can buy or sell, two tiers. And then it's also going to be socially, you're cut off from society. But what about a two-tier society in the realm of education? A two-tier society. Do I need to repeat that? Look at the screen right here, friends. There it is. Updates on steps to lift Pestilence 19 protocols. Look at the actual reading of that article, that pamphlet. Look at this, friends. It says, taking the steps needed to lift Pestilence 19 protocols. It says, look at the underlined section. I won't read all of this. However, well, let's start from the beginning. As a growing number of Michiganders, that's in Michigan, are fully vaccinated, the state of Michigan is making plans to reduce or remove Pestilence 19 protocols statewide late this summer. However, to make those changes, the state of Michigan, as well as our campus, Andrews University, has a goal of 70% of adults fully inoculated before those changes can be made. By the way, do you see a harmonizing here? Do you see that Andrews University is conflating with the policies of the government? Now, on the surface, it doesn't seem that it warrants an alarm to be sounded. But what if this conflation, this alliance, leads to a two-tier society on the school campus? What would you say to that? What about the churches? What would you say to that? What if it tramples upon our liberty of conscience? Would you now say there's a cause, there's merit to ring the gospel prophetic alarm? Not only blow the trumpet, which means to gather, but to sound the alarm. That means there is a crisis in the land. All right. It says, with that in mind, here is an overview of the latest Pestilence 19 protocols for our campus. You can find full details on these current approaches, and they gave a link. Skip on down. It says, look at the red words on the masks. It says, those who are not fully inoculated should plan to practice physical distancing and wear masks in large gatherings when outdoors. Did the leaders of Andrews say that it was not good for Ganun Diop to pay the Pope a visit? They said nothing about that. But here they are talking about this. Next section, physical distancing. Blue box. Andrews University continues to follow the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services guidelines. Those who are not fully vaccinated should also practice 6-foot physical distancing guidelines when indoors. But again, why was there no outcry against this what you see on the screen? Where is the physical distancing? Where is the social distancing? Where is the spiritual distancing? Where is it, my friends? It's not there. So where are the consequences? That's the question. Where are the consequences for Gunundia and those who are his superiors? The General Conference, administrators, where are the consequences? All right, friends. I'm showing you the hypocrisy among us. Take a look at this. Third paragraph at the bottom. Campus clear. It says, Andrews University. No, let's start from the beginning. Guided by current Michigan Occupational Safety and Health Administration guidelines, Andrews University expects employees or students to complete #campus clear reports on any day that they expect to be on campus during the summer months. In other words, this is a type of a pestilence 19 inoculation card. Very similar. Students, employees have to complete the campus clear reports. Now think, campus clear, you're cleared to come on campus. You have a right now to be on campus. So what would be the consequences if someone does not fill out this campus clear reports? That's the question. Move on. It goes on to say, while Andrews University does not require, that must be repeated, does not require its employees or students to be inoculated, we strongly encourage each individual to consider receiving a pestilence 19 inoculation. Now, tell me what you see next coming. Look at this now, friends. It says, to help measure our progress toward that goal, it is very important that all students, all employees, and students report their vaccinations so we can know where we stand. I wonder, will they share this report to anyone outside of the SDA institution? Who will get a glimpse? Who will see this report? Who will see who is who? Will they be able now to track and trace you? You know, on the campus, for example, on the campus, we saw that you were not inoculated with a pestilence 19 panacea. As a result, there are going to be levied against you these consequences in other areas in your city, your county, your district, your neighborhood. These are reasonable questions to ask because they're telling you that they're working in harmony with, that they're following the guidelines of the Michigan Health and Human Services. All right, notice as we move on. So we may know where we stand as a campus as we work toward our 70% or better pestilence 19 inoculation goal. If we have been inoculated either in the local community or where you live, watch this now, if you have been inoculated in your local community or where you live, please take a moment to report. Report what? Report where? Please take a moment to report your inoculation, or if you received the 2 pricks, inoculations online to Andrews University, and here is the link. Is this not a soft-handed pestilence 19 inoculation card? Yes. On the campus of the Seventh-day Adventist Flagship School, Andrews University. I wonder if this is going to also spread like a virus to other institutions such as Oakwood University, employees, professors, and students, staff, faculty. What about Southern University, Loma Linda, La Sierra, Walla Walla University, Northern Caribbean University? What's coming? What about the churches? Wait a minute. What about the actual church on the campus of Andrews University, Pioneer Memorial, SDA Church? Since the school is doing this, what will the church do? Are these questions that should be asked? Notice, friends, as we read on, second paragraph. As of now, 57% of our full-time employees have self-reported that they are fully inoculated. All right? Notice now, buckle your seatbelts. When students return to campus this August, when? August. We're in June now. So that's July, August, 2 months from now approximately. When students return to campus this August, additional vaccine clinics are planned on campus to help assure that options are easily available for those who have not yet been fully inoculated at that point, but now choose to be inoculated. I wonder, why will they now, a group of them now, choose to be inoculated? Because of pressure? Is that a reasonable question? Oh, we do not require, we're not forcing you to do this. However, if you don't, there are consequences. They will apply pressure. Brothers and sisters, pressure. Look at this as we read on. It says, red box, while vaccination remains a personal choice for Andrews students and employees. Students and employees, there are testing, work arrangements, travel, and other implications that will be influenced by those who choose not to be inoculated. Wait a minute. Are you telling me that Andrews University is now applying Babylonian pressure on the employees and students of Andrews University? Yes, they are, because they are lockstep with the government's protocols. Where is the liberty of conscience? No, we trample upon that. By the way, it says, watch carefully, red box, for Andrews students and employees, though you have personal choice, there are consequences. There are testing. So what happens if you don't go along with the testing? Well, there are going to be grave consequences. What about work arrangements? If you don't go along with the policy, that means your work, your duties may be in jeopardy. Travel. You mean limitation on travel? Then it says other implications. What would fall under that category? Other implications. That would be influenced by those who choose not to be inoculated. My friend, let me ask you a question. Is this applicable to us as professed Christians, as professed Seventh-day Adventist Bible-believing Christians? Is this applicable? Can we relate to this? By the way, before I finish reading, it is necessary for me to play one clip from Tony Blair to see if we're seeing a parallel. Watch this. Listen.
At home, if we do have to adjust some of the freedoms because of the rising pressure from new variants, then it's important at least to ensure that those people who are vaccinated have the maximum freedom they can. And I think that could also be done for travel as well.
What? Adjust freedoms. And he mentioned travel. Oh, friends, again.
At home, if we do have to adjust some of the freedoms because of the rising pressure from new variants, then it's important at least to ensure that those people who are...
It is clear. Now notice, as we read on, it says, bottom paragraph, and friends, the question is, where is the outcry? Where is the protest against this? I'm wondering, Have the majority of SDAs bowed the knee on this issue? A medical crisis? Well, what will happen when the Sunday law crisis comes around? It's going to be the same mass hysteria, the same fear-mongering. Oh, crisis. Oh, EPM strike, cyber attack, no electricity. The power grid has now shut down. Great famine, stock market crash globally. There's no buying and selling. Computers in the government has crashed. White House crashed. Counties, states, everything has crashed. Traveling, trucks that transport goods. No more. No gasoline. No diesel. Mass trepidation. Calamities, hurricanes, snowstorms, earthquakes, tsunamis. Now we need to turn to God. Those who bow now will bow then. How do I know? No conjecturing. It's Daniel chapter 1. The first crisis was a medical crisis. 4 stood. And then came Daniel 2 and Daniel 3. Who stood? Only those who stood in chapter 1. And then came Daniel 6. Who stood? Only those. Daniel who stood in Daniel chapter 1. And remember, my friends, in order for God's people to be sealed, there must be pressure. You can only apply a seal by applying pressure. You get the document and you apply the tangible device to seal it. You apply pressure. What's happening now? Pressure is being applied. It is very similar to what's coming for the Sunday law time period. Notice, bottom paragraph. Are these points clear, my friends? It says, bottom paragraph, last paragraph, it says, you can read more about pestilence 19 inoculation information and reporting, as well as additional expectations for employees and for students. What are those additional expectations? Well, those are hyperlinks in the email. Let me move on. Both employees and students who have not yet been inoculated will need to be tested monthly at their own expense, beginning fall semester 2021. Yes, friends. What? It says employees and students who have not yet been inoculated will need. Is that not pressure? Is that pressure, my friends? Is that a requirement now? Will need to be tested monthly at their own expense, beginning when? The fall semester of 2021. Yes, friends, we are here. Is that not pressure? And from the same mouth, they tell you, you have personal choice. We don't require, but now underhandedly. What's happening? They are applying the draconian hand of Satan, pressure, trampling upon liberty of conscience. I want to ask you a question, friends. So now, where is the liberty of conscience? Where is it? At your own expense. So what's going to happen to an employee at Andrews, maybe next Oakwood, maybe next Southern University, maybe next Northern Caribbean University, maybe Loma Linda, Union College, Washington Adventist University? What's going to happen to those who refuse to pay out of their own pocket for monthly testing and reporting? What consequences are there going to be? Oh, my friends. Oh, my friends. May I play a second clip from Tony Blair to give you a parallel, a juxtaposition?
Yeah.
Look at this. Clip number 2. Listen.
To bring you back to the plan for vaccine passports or passes, this needs buy-in from the industry, in particular the hospitality industry. And the truth is they don't like the idea. Kate Nichols, who's CEO of Hospitality UK, says that vaccine passports would be unworkable and cause conflict between the staff and customers. She surely knows her industry better than you do.
Yeah, but I think that you're not.
Listen to what he said next. We are not mandating this, but the private sector and groups, various groups, are going to be the ones to mandate this. The various groups would also entail Andrews University, the flagship school among Seventh-day Adventists. Listen, he continued to answer.
Mandating this, you're facilitating it.
Conflict between the staff and customers. She surely knows her industry better than you do.
Yeah, but I think that you're not mandating this, you're facilitating it. So I think that there may well be situations in which people decide they don't want to make that distinction. But I think you're going to find in many settings, people do want to know if they're going into that setting that the people around them, if they're mixing in close quarters, have been vaccinated. And I think, when you look around the world at some of the best practice on this, it's very, very clear that in the end, it's not just going to be something that government does. The consumer, the citizen, has also got a voice in this.
One last...
That's it.
Bring you-
In close quarters, do we have close gatherings on school campuses? Yes, I told you this, friends. When I covered this past Monday, June 7th, this was coming. I could have seen the foreshadowing of this. And secondly, are there only close gatherings on the school campuses? Now, this is Andrews University. What about the church on the campus? Do they have close gatherings? Sabbath school for adults? Sabbath school for the students? Sabbath school for children? The community who attend the church? What about choirs? The choir members, the singers? What about summer camps? What about youth meetings? Sister Henrique's right. At one point, they were offering free testing. Now it's monthly testing at their own expense. It's control and force. That's where we are, my friends. That's where we are. That's where we are. And of course, someone wrote that for many professed Seventh-day Adventists, what we're covering is a non-issue. Why? Because the majority of them are going along with Babylon's protocol. And those who have step by step yielded to worldly demands and conformed to worldly customs will not find it a hard matter to yield to the powers that be, rather than subject themselves to derision, insult, threatened imprisonment and death. That's volume 5, page 80 into page 81. And many a star that we have admired for its brilliancy will then go out in darkness. We are here. The shaking time, the sifting is now being seen. And those who are plugged into Babylon's protocol are the ones who are called responsible Christians, responsible citizens. But those who reject Babylon's protocol are now treated as pariahs. Yes, friends. As troublers in Israel. May I move on? Watch.
Is it acceptable to turn down a vaccine, do you think?
Unless you've got a good medical reason, my view...
This point is critical because Tony Blair mentioned that there should be no exemption for pestilence 19 inoculation, only a medical exemption, only a medical excuse. Wait a minute now. What about a religious exemption? Do you remember several years ago, Mr. Ben Carson, professed SDA, world-renowned surgeon, stated that there should be no religious, no philosophical exemption for vaccination. Are you seeing where we are now, friends? But here's my point. No religious. Is Andrews University a religious institution? A Seventh-day Adventist. So what are we now seeing? No religious exemption is what this virus 19 policy on the campus of Andrews University is all about. No religious exemption. Listen now.
Is it acceptable to turn down a vaccine, do you think?
Unless you've got a good medical reason, my view very clearly is no. And I think that's why it's important to give people a real incentive to get vaccinated. But
All right, friends, we are here. And of course, notice what he ended by saying. Listen.
Of hospitalization or death.
So would you make them mandatory?
I don't think you can make them mandatory, but I think, and this is what we're suggesting today, by making it clear that, for example, if you are vaccinated, if you're double vaccinated, it should be much easier to come in and out of the country. And indeed, round the world, I think you will find that countries start to distinguish between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. So in Europe, for example, they're going to allow you to travel freely within Europe if you're double vaccinated.
You know, friends, some of you in the comments, you're making some statements, and I know that you're not being facetious. Some of you are stating that I have a medical reason, and the medical reason is I am not sick. Brothers and sisters, can we sense the crisis? Listen again.
To do this properly, however, you're going to need to keep production going. You're going to need...
And here's the point. It's going to go global, because remember now, they're planning to inoculate the whole world by 2022. And now Mr. Blair is going to say they want to focus on two main things. Number one, they want to focus on urban communities, the urban locations, the populated cities. Where is Andrews University? Where's Oakwood? Huntsville, Alabama? Where is NCU? Where is Washington Adventist University? Are these located, the majority of them, in populated cities? Listen, and then secondly, we want to overcome, trample underfoot those who are pestilence 19 inoculation hesitant.
To do this properly, however, you're going to need to keep production going. You're going to need to make sure that countries have the capacity to absorb and to vaccinate, because many of them presently don't. And you're going to have to make sure you overcome the hesitancy about vaccines.
You have been following...
There it is. And before I come to the urban cities now, that was about those who are hesitant. What if we, because again, I want to drive home these points as nails in a sure place. What if we were to say that we have a religious reason and they were to continue to interrogate us? Then, my brother, what is, my sister, what is your religion? What church are you affiliated with? Well, we are professed Seventh-day Adventists. What if they were to make a few calls, go online and begin to look at what professed SDA leaders promote on this issue? Do you know what they will return and say to us? Well, your denomination, the leaders in the church, school, hospitals, publishing work, they all are promoting the pestilence 19 inoculation. Sorry, Mr. Sorry, Mrs. You don't have a leg to stand upon. Do you see what's happening? But what if as a movement we had stood upon Bible and spirit of prophecy, medical missionary evangelism? What would happen? We would be a force to reckon with. Now, don't challenge me on this. I'll give you one example. Like the Amish people, the Amish community in some areas of life. And even the indigenous people in other areas of life. God would stand for us as he stood for Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. However, our leaders are found skewing and misinterpreting and misrepresenting statements that Sister White herself did not say, but her secretary, D.E. Robinson, wrote, and saying that is why we are promoting undercover, directly, indirectly, the pestilence 19 inoculation. By the way, below this video, in the description and the pinned comment, I'm going to post an interview again that I did with a dear brother of mine. But hold on, friends, hold on. Listen.
Saying today by the end of 2022. But what you could do by the end of
That's it. By the end of 2022, inoculate the whole world.
Saying today, by the end of 2022. But what you could do by the end of this year is vaccinate the most vulnerable. And that means frontline healthcare workers, the elderly, and those around big urban conurbations. And the reason for doing that is enlightened self-interest. It's not humanitarian simply. It's because it helps us to stop the disease spreading.
Please, friends, look for that video from Dr. Tim Piernick. I'm going to post that video again below this video. Again, friends, they are starting in the urban communities. Homeschooling anyone? Country living anyone? Can you see? Just as the Bible and the spirit of prophecy prophesied would take place, now we are seeing preliminary crises, giving a foreshadowing of the mark of the beast crisis. Yet the majority of us are still incredulous, apathetic to these signs. They are still snoring, fast asleep. Now, this is how, I'm going to say more later on, but this is how Andrews University, the flagship school among Seventh-day Adventists, concluded this segment of the pamphlet to employees and students. It says, finally, as you know, some people remain uncertain about receiving a pestilence 19 inoculation. The following resources may be helpful for those individuals who wish to study and learn more as they make their personal decision about receiving a pestilence 19 inoculation. Look who they pointed to. Along with the skewed content and material from the North American division of SDA, Hope Channel, 3ABN, etc. Look at the red box. There's also a lot of information and misinformation about pestilence 19 vaccinations. If you are interested in separating myths from facts, you may find this guide not from the Bible and the Spirit of Prophecy, but from the CDC helpful. That's it, friends. That's it right there. From the CDC. That's who they're promoting. Promoting Babylon. Promoting Babylon, my friends. And again, as I close this prophetic insight, I want to emphasize, look at the screen. Again, if you were to Google SDA Flagship School, do you know what school comes up? In secular articles, New York Times, etc., CNN, it is going to be Andrews University. Look at that, friends. Red box, blue line. Andrews University, the flagship university of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I want to ask you a question. What does flagship mean? Anybody who is live? What does flagship mean? Because this is pertinent to grab, to comprehend the meaning of this, as we see Andrews University has begun to enact these policies, applying pressure directly, indirectly on employees and students, staff and students. What does flagship mean, friends? Antonio, leader, that's it. The standard bearer, that's it. The standard school. Friends, the premier school, Romario and the rest of you. Look at the textbook definition here, friends. It says, flagship, the ship that carries the commander of a fleet. The commander, it carries it. Or subdivision of a fleet that flies the commander's flag. It's the finest, the largest, or most important one of a group of things. There it is, friends. There it is. Flagship. Flagship, friends. So what begins here may continue elsewhere. Do you see how I said may? Operative word may. But friends, we can actually say what has begun on the campus of Andrews University, if there's no repentance, if there's no right about, if there's no change, It is going to continue to other institutions of Seventh-day Adventists, other schools, seminaries, yes, friends, universities, colleges, even down to the academies, yes, and then the churches. It's coming. It's coming. And what am I now saying as I close? Notice here, friends, as we see these things, we must see a call to prayer. A call to what, my friends? A call to prayer. Things are going to get worse. A call to prayer. That is it. And with that in mind, I want to remind you of June 13th, 2021, this coming Sunday, all night prayer meeting. All night prayer meeting. 12 a.m. all the way through to 6 p.m. or even 7 p.m. Sunday evening. All right, friends, please be aware of that. Please, by God's grace, join us. It's also a day of fasting and prayer. And on yesterday, I focused simply on the all-night prayer meeting aspect. In short, I'll say this. For the fasting, the day of fasting and prayer, we begin the fast together. Safe to Serve International, Seventh-day Adventist Christians, first-time viewers, we begin the fast together. Your last meal on Sabbath, June 12th, your last meal. Whenever you have your last meal, that's where we begin the fast. And we close the fast together sometime after 7 p.m. Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Okay? Fast begins on Sabbath, your last meal, June 12th, all the way through to June 13th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. When do you join us for the live program, the live service on this channel right here, Prophesy Again TV? You join us live at 12 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 12 a.m. Eastern. Okay, friends, take a look. By God's grace, hope to see you then. And by God's grace, may we be found faithful until we meet again. What must we see, friends? A call to prayer, fasting and praying, all night prayer meeting.